Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about letting go of things that your partner has done to you in the past and why you should do that. So this is one of the biggest ways that PMDD relationships end up in those breakups, end up in those PMDD monthly fights that are very traumatic. And that is because you or your partner or both of you are remembering things that have happened in the past, and you're literally reliving those moments and experiencing all of the emotions from those moments, the anger, the frustration, the betrayal, the lack of trust, all of these things you're bringing up, and it's causing you to suffer. And then for the partner that has PMDD, I know that there is a specific level of rumination, like intrusive thoughts that, you're thinking about what your partner has done again and again and again. And it's like on replay in your mind, and you're not using the tools to let it go. Instead, you're projecting those intrusive thoughts that you're thinking in your mind onto your partner. So because you are pretty much reliving those traumatic moments all over again, you are now treating your partner differently. You're treating your partner based off of the memories that you have of what they did in the past. So even if they're not presently doing anything to you, even if they haven't done anything in a while, even if they apologize for what they did, because you're reliving the past, you're now treating them as if they've done it all over again. So what I want you to really recognize, what this is doing is it is causing you to punish your PMDD partner for things that they've done in the past that they've probably apologized for. And it's like they're getting punished for it again and again and again. And here's the thing, your PMDD partner cannot go back in time and change what they did. They cannot go back in time and change what they said. They can't do anything but move forward. But every single time you get distracted by those intrusive thoughts about your past, you're stuck in that place. And what you also do is you keep your partner stuck in that place. So you all could be having a good time. You all could be really connecting. You all could be, using the tools and working on your relationship. But every single time you have an intrusive thought about your past, it takes you back. And then you're in this cycle and you're wondering why you keep having these fights, having these arguments, talking about the same things again and again and again, even coming to a resolution about the problem or the issue. And then next thing you know, you go into PMDD and it comes up again. So what I want to let you know is when you're in this pattern, you're going to have consistent fights, you're going to have consistent arguments, but the ego wants you to have a pity party. The ego wants you to feel bad about yourself. The ego wants you to feel like a victim so that your partner can become the enemy. When you are in that place of what I call having a PMDD pity party. It is when you're thinking about everything that your partner has done and how much you don't deserve this and how you deserve so much better. And after all you've done for them, you can't believe that they would, not support you. You can't believe that they would say that to you. You can't believe that they would do that to you. And you're literally going deeper into the pity party so much that PMDD is pretty much going to use that whole pity party and have it on replay for the whole time that you're in PMDD. I want you to understand the trick of PMDD. They want to keep you in this place. PMDD wants to keep your mind stuck on what your partner did and not even focus on the progress that your partner has made. Because when you're at that pity party and you're thinking about everything that your partner has done, you're not thinking about how your partner is treating you so much nicer now, or is being more open and communicating with you, or is helping more out with the kids, or helping more out with the chores, or whatever they did to trigger you. You're not able to see their progress. All you can do is see how you can stay in that pity party by keep reminding them of what they did in the past. And every single time that you remind your partner of what they did in the past, especially if they've apologized before, they immediately get defensive and they immediately will start bringing up things and say, well, what about you? You think you're so perfect. I had this happen so many times in my PMDD relationships where I would go to say, we need to talk. And it was because I was in PMDD and I would start remembering things that my partner had done. And so when I would say, we need to talk, I wasn't even talking specifically about anything that they had done presently. I was talking about the past, or it would just come out. Like I would talk about something that really didn't matter present day. Like, oh, I don't like the way that you, forgot to call me back, or, it's something small, but then it's really something bigger because as we begin to argue, all of the stuff from the past, comes up. So it's almost like you use little things that happen and you use it as a gateway to open up to things that they've done in the past. So you may be complaining about them not washing the dishes. And then all of a sudden you're like, you don't appreciate me. You don't appreciate anything that I've done. It's just like when I took care of you before all those years ago and you didn't treat me well. And you literally go back in time because you're feeling those emotions. And here's what I want you to know. Your mind goes there first, okay? So thoughts, what you are thinking is going to create an emotion within you. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, my partner doesn't appreciate me, right? PMDD may put that thought in your mind. Maybe that's an intrusive thought that you have. And I want you to track this. So as soon as you start to think, oh my gosh, my partner doesn't appreciate me, what is the feeling that you feel? You feel offended. You feel unappreciated. You feel like maybe I deserve better. Maybe someone else would treat me better. Like you're starting to get those feelings after the thought. And then what happens? Your behavior starts to change around your partner. You start looking at them crazy with the side eye. You start being short with them. They can feel that your vibe is off. And then you may say, oh, nothing. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. But you're really looking at them as if they just did the thing that offended you weeks ago, months ago, days ago, hours ago. And you may have said, oh, I forgive you. Oh, we're over it. Oh, we've come to a resolution. Oh, we're not going to talk about this anymore. But when those intrusive thoughts come, all of a sudden it's like all bets are off. Because even if you don't bring up the thing that is triggering you, that intrusive thought about the past, you're treating them differently. So you might as well just say what it is that's bothering you because they know that there's something bothering you. If they're asking you, what's wrong? It seems like you're a little bit, I'm fine. What's wrong with you? Why are you picking at me? So now you're getting defensive for them asking you what's wrong when there actually is something wrong. You just don't want to say it because it's going to look like you're bringing up the past. You don't want to say, oh, I'm mad at you for something that you did last month, or I'm mad at you. You want to wait until you have some present day evidence so that you can bring it up and then tie it and say, this is just a pattern. See, you're doing it again. It's just like you did this before and this before and this before, when those things from the past are what you really wanted to bring up because it's eating you up and you don't understand that this is the trick of PMDD. So there's a lot of damage that this can cause to your relationship if you keep bringing it up again and again and again. And I'm going to go through the damage that it can do on your PMDD relationships. And as usual, I'm going to give you tools of what you can do about it, because I don't want you to stay stuck in that place, because staying stuck in that pity party of what your partner did keeps you stuck in the relationship. You can't move forward with anything else. You can't, enjoy yourself in your follicular days. Sometimes even when you're not in PMDD, you could be in your follicular days and then remember something that your partner did in PMDD, and then all of a sudden you're now in your quote unquote good days and you're not even enjoying yourself. So holding on to past hurts from your PMDD partner, it is really going to negatively impact your whole relationship. Everything that you do, your day-to-day interaction is going to be impacted because you're going to be thinking about what your partner has done in the past. And so the first way that it can really cause a lot of damage to your relationship is it continuously bringing up those past hurts. It prevents you from rebuilding trust. So if your partner broke your trust by doing something, okay, maybe there was infidelity, maybe they were unfaithful, and then they came back and said, I want to work on this. And maybe you're even having private sessions with working on, you know, being faithful. Well, every single time that you bring up what your partner did in the past, you're reliving that betrayal, and then your partner can't move forward. So I see this a lot with my private clients when you come to me and there's been infidelity or unfaithfulness, but you're saying, but we still want to stay in the relationship. We really want to make it work. Here's the thing, and I really want you to understand this. If this is you, or if this has been you, if you are trying to rebuild the trust within your relationship, you have to forgive as many times as it takes every single time it pops up in your mind, because your partner may do something that triggers that infidelity, or your partner may do something that triggers, they said that they were not going to do this activity. Maybe they had an addiction before. And maybe they drank alcohol too much and got drunk and did hurtful things, or maybe they put their hands on you before, or maybe they verbally abused you before, whatever it is that they did, and then they do something that triggers that activity, and you see them do it present day. Every single time that you remind them of what they did, and you're blaming them and shaming them for what they've done in the past, you're going to make your partner defensive, and you're going to make them feel like they might as well do the thing that they're being accused of, because they're being treated as if they're continuously doing it when they're actually not continuously doing it. They're trying to move forward. They're trying to be seen in a different light. But every single time that you remind them of that horrible thing that they've done, you're shaming them. And what I want you to understand, when you're shaming your partner by reminding them of the horrible thing that they've done in the past, you're not perfect. Especially if you have PMDD and you've been struggling with it over the years, like we all have. There's been some blowups. There's been some things that you've said that are below the belt. There've been some things that you've done when you've been in PMDD rage. And you need to remove the blame from your partner as if you're spotless. I think the ego comes in during PMDD, and it's almost like you've not done anything wrong and your partner has done everything wrong. And so they need to be punished for it. PMDD will make you want to punish your partner for things that they've done in the past. That is a fact. So when you catch yourself doing it, don't talk about the way that your partner is getting defensive. Talk about the way that you're punishing your partner for things that they've done in the past, that they've asked for forgiveness for, that you've actually, quote unquote, forgiven them for, but you keep bringing it up. You know that phrase, forgive and forget? When you're in PMDD, I know that you're not going to forget. You're going to remember. You're going to remember a lot. When you remember a lot, you have to forgive a lot, again and again and again. There's been so many times where I've had to forgive, ex-partners daily, because every single day in PMDD, I was either remembering the same thing that they did in the past, or different things that were related to the same thing, right? If you feel you have to get to what is the underlying issue. If you feel like your partner doesn't appreciate you, and that's what's in your thought process, and that's what you're focused on, you're going to continuously see patterns of your partner not being supportive. You're going to remember the thing that they did in the past, and then you're going to highlight everything that they're doing presently in the present. And you're going to say, and they're continuously doing it. And this is what I have to deal with. And this is my life. And you're going to, again, get in that PMDD pity party, and you're going to feel miserable. You're going to feel like you're living a sad, sad life because you're living with someone who is not appreciating you and continuously neglecting you and continuously abandoning you and not giving you enough attention and not giving you enough affection and not giving you enough validation and not. And so when you're in this place of focusing on what you're not getting, it is going to make it's going to highlight everything that your partner is not doing. And it's going to make you feel horrible, and it's going to make you want to break up. It's either going to make you want to break up, or it's going to make you want to stay in the relationship and punish your partner by withholding love, attention, affection, validation from them because of what they've done in the past. And that's horrible. If you're not going to forgive your partner, then you shouldn't be in the relationship and continue to punish them. If you made a decision where you're just like, I just can't get over this. Like if you're making a declaration and saying what they did was so horrible, I just can't move on from it, then you need to move on from the relationship, because keeping them in the relationship and punishing them and not giving them the love that they need and not giving them the attention they need and not giving them the companionship and the intimacy that they need while they're in the relationship is a form of punishing them. You're preventing them from getting it from anybody else because you're holding them in the relationship, and you're not willing to let it go because it's so hard for you. And I get that it's hard. I get that there's things that your partner has done that are horrible. I also get that there's probably things that you've done that are horrible that your partner has had to forgive. And I know when you're in PMDD, it can be like, oh, well, it's so much easier for my partner because they don't have PMDD, but it's so much harder for me. It is harder for us. It's harder for us to forgive when we're in PMDD, but it is not impossible. Don't let the disappointment of what your partner did make you bitter towards them. You know, that's always my big key takeaway with anything that your partner has done is do not hold on to any bitterness and resentments, because you are going to treat your partner horribly. As long as you have bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness in your heart towards your partner because of something that they've done in the past, that means all of your behaviors, all of your language is going to be horrible. It's going to be hurtful. It's going to be damaging, and it's not what they deserve. They cannot go back in time and take back what they did. They cannot. They physically can't do it. And you know that they can't do it because you can't go back in time and take back things that you've said and done. And you've been in that place of guilt. I know I've been there so many times where I've said things below the belt. I've done things specifically when I've been overthinking in my mind, overthinking in my PMDD brain, and I have acted in a way that my partners have not deserved because I let myself go down that rabbit hole of believing my PMDD brain and believing the thoughts that were going on in my mind and believing that my partners were the enemy and believing that they were doing things maliciously that they weren't really doing maliciously. And I reacted in that way. I made up a story in my mind during PMDD, and I treated my partners differently based off of the story that I created in my mind. And I held on to that. And I held on to it, and I was looking for evidence. I was looking on evidence for what it is that I thought that they were doing. Because a lot of times when you're in PMDD and you're thinking these things in your brain, you know, you don't even, it's very convincing because it seems really real to you. So if your PMDD brain is saying they betrayed you before, they're going to betray you again, and you're looking for evidence of that, you're convinced. You don't even need to have a conversation with your partner to confirm it. It's almost like you have this inner knowing that they're going to do something to hurt you again. You're so hurt by harboring those unresolved feelings that you're holding on to this resentment, and you're treating them like they're either about to do it or they've done it already. And so when you have this resentment and this bitterness built up over time, it creates a very toxic environment within your relationship. You're going to feel very disconnected from your partner because you're not going to feel safe with them. When you're feeling bitterness, when you're feeling like they maliciously hurt you. And what I always say to my private clients is, when we're talking about the action, the past action that they've done that's hurt you so bad, I always say, have they done it maliciously? Was it done intentionally to hurt you and harm you? Or did they do something and it just hurt you and harm you? Because intentions matter. If your partner didn't intentionally do it, if they didn't go out of their way to hurt you, then holding on to that bitterness and resentment is not fair. And it's hurting you and the relationship. And so when you are, another way that this can impact your relationship is you have poor communication. So now that you're focusing on past hurts and things that your partner has done, you don't want to have open and honest communication. You're trying to avoid discussing, the feelings. There's this propensity to avoid talking to your partner because you feel like it's going to open the old wound. You feel like it's better if we just don't talk about it, or I don't want to even have the conversation because the more you talk to me about it, the more upset I'm going to be, the more offended I'm going to be, the more triggered I'm going to be. If I hear you talk about it some more and kind of defend your actions, then it's going to make me triggered even more. I've had that happen so many times where, I thought I wanted to talk about a situation, and then every time I did, when I tried to tell my partner, like, hey, this is what you did to hurt me, this is what you did, they continuously kind of defended the behavior, which made me hurt even more. It's like they weren't even apologizing for what they did. They were kind of like saying, well, I don't think it was, like, minimizing it. I don't think that was a big deal. I don't understand why you're being so sensitive. I didn't even do that on purpose or whatever. Like, they were they were making it worse. So it made me want to avoid talking about the feelings that I was having. So I was holding on to what they did in the past, but I wasn't wanting to talk about it because it was further triggering me and how I saw them. So it's making me treat them even worse because I felt like, wow, they really meant it. They really meant to hurt me. I'm telling them that they hurt me, and then they're confirming, yeah, I did it, and what, kind of thing. So what this does is it creates this emotional distance between you and your partner. And when you have this emotional distance when you're in PMDD, that means your partner's not getting their needs met and you're not getting the support that you need. So now you're starting to do things more independently, and you're starting to feel like, well, what's the point of even having a partner if I have to do all these things by myself? Well, a lot of times you're doing things by yourself because you're not wanting to ask your partner for help because you're holding on to that bitterness and resentment for what they did in the past. You want to make it seem like you can handle everything on your own. You don't need them for anything. So you're killing yourself in PMDD. You're burning yourself out. You're draining yourself. You're doing things that you really don't have the energy to do just to prove a point because you're trying to hold on to the past hurt. You're trying to prove a point that you don't really need them. So there's no intimacy, there's no connection, and there's a big wall in between you and your PMDD partner. You have to stop reliving the past arguments and fights, because if you don't, it is going to increase the amounts of fights that you're having with your partner, the amount of arguments that you're having with your partner. It's going to make it feel like every single day we're fighting about something. Every single day we're arguing about something. And honestly, it's one argument after the other because you've never dealt with the original one from the past. So they're building up on each other. Things that, that your partner may have done in the past that didn't really bother you, now all of a sudden it's going to bother you because you're just going to become disgusted, honestly. I've been there so many times where I literally was disgusted with my partners because of the bitterness and resentment. It's like you're painting a portrait of them that's based off of an isolated event. one thing that happened, one event that happened, one comment that they said, and it erases every good thing that they've ever done for you. Because now your vision of your PMDD partner is so clouded with that action that you're genuinely like looking at them like they're Rumpelstiltskin. You're just like, ugh, because you're like, I can't believe. And then the ego comes in, especially when you're in PMDD, and says, I can't believe you let them talk to you like that. Like, I can't believe you let them do that to you. Like, I would never let them talk to me like that. I would never let them do that to me. Like now you're feeling like you need to hold on to it even more because you don't want to give them the satisfaction of letting it go. You know that you're punishing them by holding on to it, but you're just doing it on purpose because you want them to hurt as much as they hurt you. So now you're getting into that place of retaliation where it's like, yeah, I could let this go, but I'm not going to. I could give you love, affection, attention, but I'm not going to. You know why I'm not going to? Because you did this. You got to let your partner off the hook for what they did in the past that offended you, that hurt you. No PMDD partner is perfect. We need to let go of these expectations that a supportive PMDD partner means that they're never going to disappoint you. You disappoint your partner. Newsflash. You disappoint your partner. Do you do it intentionally? No, but you do, and you have, and you're forgiven. It's mutual both ways. When you're in a relationship, especially with PMDD, your partner is going to do something that triggers you. You're going to do something that triggers your partner. And you both need to be in that place of forgiving each other and letting it go. Kiss that offense goodbye and let it go. Kiss having the need to be right goodbye and let it go. Because your relationship cannot grow. It cannot grow and move forward and strengthen, and you can't get a more supportive PMDD partner, and you can't get more support and intimacy and all these things. You can't get any of that when you're holding on to things that your partner has done in the past. It's stopping you from getting that very thing that you want. So it leads to both of you having unmet needs. When you have unmet needs in your relationship, you're gonna not be satisfied in your relationship at all. Right? You're gonna feel like you're gonna start thinking, I don't even know if I should be in this relationship. What am I here for? Like it's not gonna be enjoyable for you. You're not gonna be getting your needs met. You're gonna be feeling unfulfilled. You're gonna question whether this is even the right partner for you. And then that's when you're gonna end up in this cycle of negative feelings, negative thoughts, negative behaviors again and again and again because of the constant fights and argues. And you're not getting to the root of why you're there. And you're there because you're stuck in the past. You need to break free from the past and what's going on in your relationship, what has gone on. And that's why I created the Fresh Start for your PMDD relationship. I created this workbook so that you and your PMDD partner can work through what has gone on in the past and break free from bringing it up again and again and again. So if that's something that you know that you want, the link will be in the show notes, or you can go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get that workbook and really just uncover what it is and deal with it once and for all. It's one of the tools that I use with my private clients. I use them on private sessions. So if you want to be able to really work through everything with me and your partner, or with me one-on-one, just me and you, that's something that we can do as well. I know that's been very helpful to really unpack the root of what's been going on, the root of what you can't let go of, and then to just finally be able to let it go once and for all. Because the longer you hold on to it, the longer you hold on to every single thing that your partner has done, the more you're going to hurt. So here's what I want you to know. If you're staying in the relationship with your partner, you have an obligation to forgive them. I'm going to repeat that. If you're staying in the relationship with your partner, you have an obligation to forgive them. The reason why I created the fresh start is you need to be able to close that chapter and start a new one. Close the chapter of the past. Take the lessons that you learned. So I don't want you forgetting about the past in a way where you're just going to pretend like it never happened. I want you to actually be grateful that it happened because it's caused you to understand your partner better. It's caused you to understand what you need in a relationship, what you don't need in the relationship. Close that chapter, take it as a learning lesson, and start a new one and move forward. Stop reliving the past arguments and fights. It's only going to make you feel worse, especially when you're in PMDD. And when you catch yourself doing it, call yourself out. If you have PMDD and you're thinking about the past and thinking about what your partner did, catch yourself and say this mantra: we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. This works so good, so good. And I love using mantras. If you're my private clients, you know, I pretty much give you mantras on every private sessions, but this really stops the brain from going down the rabbit hole of what your partner did. As soon as you start thinking about it, because if you don't stop your brain from doing it, especially with your PMDD, it's going to keep going and it's going to get worse and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to get a distorted version of your partner and a distorted version of the story. Because what's going to happen is PMDD is going to start sprinkling in some things that may not necessarily have happened. This has PMDD has tricked me so many times with this. Like I have a distorted version of the story. Like, yes, my partner did one thing, but I've added on 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I've assumed that they were thinking when they did other things. So assumptions lead to destructions in your relationship. And that's a whole nother topic that we can get into. But when you start assuming that your partner did something for a reason, like your partner gets up and walks out and goes to the store and you're assuming that they're pissed at you, you're assuming that they're mad at you, you're assuming that they're going to go talk to somebody else, you're assuming you see them on the phone, you see them texting, and you're assuming that they're talking to their family about you, you're assuming that they're talking to their friends about you, you're assuming that they're painting you out to be the bad guy. All those assumptions are a result of the story that's been made up in your mind. And this is something that both partners can do, whether you have PMDD or not. It's because you have that bitterness and resentment, and you're looking at your partner as if they're capable of hurting you. So this is what I mean by looking at them like they're the enemy. You're approaching them like they're trying to hurt you. So this is somebody that you're seeing that's like, oh yeah, they're capable of doing that. I know that they could do that. What you need to do is kiss every single time that you think about what they did, kiss it goodbye and move forward. Your partner cannot go back in the past and redo the scenario all over again. I'm pretty sure that if they could, they would, because they're probably tired of talking about it. They're tired of thinking about it. They're tired of feeling like they just did it and all of these things. And here's the thing for both of you, for the partner that has PMDD and that doesn't have PMDD, I want you to stop being sarcastic. I want you to stop being bitter. And I want you to stop being petty with your partner because of what they've done in the past. Stop that ugly behavior. Stop it. It's not fair to your partner. I do not condone punishing your partner for things that they can't change in the moment. That's a form of abuse. You know that they can't go back and unsay what they said. And the name calling specifically, I've seen this so often where it's like, they called me this and it's almost like you're telling on them. They called me this and they called me that, or you called me this and you called me that. Okay, well, I'm sorry that I called you that. I said it in the heat of the moment. I'm sorry. And a genuine apology, not like, oh, I'm sorry, like my bad. Like, I mean, once they genuinely apologize, let it go. Put an end to it in your mind. And when another mantra that you can use that's really going to help you when you start to think about things that your partner has done in the past. And again, this works for both partners because again, neither one of you are perfect. Is you can say this mantra: the past is not going to control me anymore. The past is not going to control us anymore. When you recognize that you're both living in the past because you both keep talking about what you did, you need to literally say, for the partner that has done the hurtful things, say, I'm not going to live in regret and self-pity anymore. I'm not going to live in regret and guilt anymore. For the partner that got hurt, I'm not going to live in self-pity. I'm not going to stay in this pity party anymore. Party's over. Lights are on. Leave the club. It's over. It's done. And if you have to have a moment and journal it all out and say how horrible what your partner did and how it made you feel, it's better that you process that on your own versus projecting that on your partner. Because a lot of times once they, ask for forgiveness and they know what they did. They know what they did. And they're going to bring up something that you did. And then the cycle is going to continue. Well, what about when you did this? Like I've had that happen so many times in my relationships where we start talking about stuff, arguing about stuff that has nothing to do with the present actual argument. We've now gone down the rabbit hole of bringing up so many different things, and we're stuck in that place. And then you're frustrated and you walk away from it, and you're in that cycle, and the cycle doesn't end. It's like that old song from the cartoon. It's the song that doesn't end and it goes on and on, my friend. Yeah, that it's exactly like that. So kiss that old image that you have of your partner goodbye. That image of that person yelling at you, that image of that person putting their hands on you, that image of the person cussing you out, that image of that person cheating on you, whatever it is that you're deciding to forgive, you know me, especially if you're my private client, I don't judge. Whatever you decide to do in your relationship, I support you. Whatever you're deciding to do moving forward, I support you. But what I don't support is you deciding to stay in the relationship and not forgiving, because you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to stay stuck in the past. And if the past hurt you so bad, if it hurts you so bad, why would you not want to leave? It's like getting in the bathtub and the water's too hot for you. You got to let it cool off. You got to get out. You got to put some cold water in there. And a lot of times that cold water is that fresh start, that the workbook that I'm talking about that's going to help you create a vision of your relationship that you do want. So what do you do when you're in a bathtub and the water's too hot? Do you stay in there and let it scold you? I mean, I know me, I love a hot bath. I love the heat. But there's there's levels to this, right? There's hot, just like, oh, this feels good. My muscles are so relaxed. And then it's burning off my skin and you kind of hop out. If it hurts you, think about that. I want you to take a moment and think about, what is that thing that your partner has done in the past that keeps coming up for you in PMDD? If you're the partner that doesn't have PMDD, think about it. What is that thing that keeps coming up? Now I want you to think about the emotion. How does that action, what they did, how does that make you feel? And when you're thinking about it, does it make you feel good? If the answer is no, I'm pretty sure it's no. Why would you want to stay in that place of not feeling good? If we take this and go basic level, do you want to feel good? Because some of you don't want to feel good. Some of you don't want to come out of that place of self-pity. You like being the victim. You like feeling like everything was done to you, especially when you're in PMDD. Remember, PMDD loves the pity party. So PMDD is like, just stay here. I can't, you're in this relationship. It's so horrible. You're not happy. You suck as a partner. You're having this level of self-pity and you don't even want to get out of it. If you really ask yourself, if I gave you a tool and I say, hey, go get this workbook so you can work out everything that you have, the Fresh Start workbook, so you can work out everything that your partner has done to trigger you in the past that keeps coming up. I want you to get this workbook because it's going to help you get unstuck so you don't stay in that pity party. And you don't do it, That's a statement. You want to stay there. You're getting some reward out of being in that pity party. Because PMDD, a lot of times when you're in PMDD, sometimes it feels good to be the victim. You're just like, woe is me. Everything's bad. Because you're already feeling horrible because you're in PMDD, right? So you're like, oh, I'm suffering in PMDD with all these symptoms. I have anxiety, depression, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch. I have fatigue. I'm tired all the time. I can't remember anything. I'm clumsy. I just tripped over something and bumped my head on something. And all these things that you're complaining about. And then you're just adding this to it. And my partner sucks. And my partner told me I'm a piece of crap. And my partner did this, and my partner cheated on me, and my partner put their hands on me. You're just adding what your partner did to the list of things to stay in that pity party. Leave the party. Leave the PMDD pity party. Leave it. Literally say to yourself, I am not living in self-pity anymore. Every time you get triggered by your past, I want you to kiss that offense goodbye and let it go as many times as you need to. Continuously do it. This is not a one-time thing because it doesn't only pop in your head one time. You have to use this tool again and again and again. Don't be so distracted by your past that you can't move forward. You ever, feel like that? You're like, oh, we were doing so good. And then we weren't. We're doing so good. And then they did this one thing and it made me remember the past. And then I'm back to where I'm back at the start line. I'm back to remembering what it is that they did to hurt me. What you're not willing to walk away from is going to keep you stuck. Walk away mentally every single time you get triggered by your past. Walk away from it. Once you've thought about that thing, because it's normally one or two things that you need to let go of, you need to keep that in the forefront of your mind. So every single time it comes up, you can pretty much call yourself out and be like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Because you can go through life with your partner holding on to the past hurts, holding on to the past pain, but it's going to keep you from having the relationship that you desire and deserve. It is going to keep you from having the partner that you desire and deserve. If you keep speaking and seeing your partner based off of what they did in the past, they're going to operate on the level to which you see them. Your partner is going to operate at the level that you see them. You're putting them in the box of your past. You are literally putting them in the box of what happened to you in the past. So I really want you to focus on the new chapter in your relationship, the fresh start. And that can begin as soon as you let it go. And in the beginning, when you're doing this work, you're going to have to rinse and repeat. Do it again and again and again. And that's fine. And I don't want you to feel like a failure. I don't want you to feel like you're doing something wrong because, you have to keep using the tools again. It's going to become a habit for you. But once it becomes a habit, you're going to get to a point that every single time it pops up in your head, you're going to be like, oh, we're not doing this again. Erase and replace. Erase what they did and replace it with something that you love about them, you like about them. Replace it with something that they're presently doing that you appreciate, and be authentic. Don't be super generic because your subconscious mind is not going to fall for that. I want you to be really specific with things that your partner is presently doing that you appreciate. And then I want you to start focusing on that. So every single time you think of the trigger, and just say it to yourself, that's not my partner anymore. That's not them. My partner doesn't do that anymore. Use that mantra. My partner doesn't do that anymore. You have to tell yourself that, because when you're in PMDD, it's going to be like, they're going to do it again. And you're going to be on high alert. So you have to literally tell your partner, my partner doesn't do that anymore. And once you get to that point where you do that, then it's really going to help you move forward in your PMDD relationship. So I hope that this helped you. Go to the link in the show notes and get the workbook. the fresh start in your PMDD relationship, how to get over the past trauma and triggers. Okay. So it's in the show notes and it's in on my website, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.